You're listening to the Simply Vegan podcast, brought to you by the team at Vegan Food and Living, the UK's best-selling vegan magazine. We've got a real mix again today. Molly and I getting on our high horses, excuse the expression, talking about activism. Do we agree with it? Do we not? Is it a good thing? Does it actually go against what we're all trying to do? And for those of us with children going back to school, we talk about educating children on climate change and vegan food within schools. And then stay tuned or skip Molly and I all together and go to chapter 2 to hear my interview with Maddie Grinham from Mr Organic. We're talking about the differences between organic and non-organic food, the health implications, and also, is it cost effective? Can we afford to be buying organic food with the cost of living crisis? The podcast, everybody. I'm a bit worried about today's episode because I've got people putting up scaffolding outside my house and I've got a plumber here doing my shower and the dog's at the bottom of the stairs whining. So the joys of remote working, I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, but anyway.
Bring them into the room, I say. Get them on the show. Yeah. I want your dog to be on the show so much. I reckon he's got a lot to say. He's a vegan.
He is, yeah. He's hurt his back leg. He's pulled some tendons or something. So we live in as I've said before, a 3-story house. So the lounge is on the first floor. So it's just a nightmare. And he weighs a ton. So I'm having to constantly run down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and help him up the stairs. I haven't wanted to start carrying him because then he'll just expect it every time.
Yeah.
But it's just a nightmare. It's so stressful.
Oh, darling. I got a Cocker Spaniel. And honestly, every time I go home, I forget that he's not this puppy anymore when I left, and now he's this massive, he literally weighs the same as me. He's so heavy and he just wants to be sat on my lap. I sit him up on my lap like a baby and hold him underneath his arms and go chicka 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 like a train.
So
and he loves it. I know, he's so stupid.
Some of them are such big dogs, aren't they? But you get others, they're just sort of tiny and skinny. They're
and we got the good ones.
Yeah. big boned, my mum says that when she's grooming him.
Oh,
how are you anyway? Did you have another festival at the weekend?
I did. I'm so happy to not do anything this weekend. Saturday I'm just gonna lay in bed for as long as I want, and then I'm going to eat whatever I want for breakfast and then just sit on the sofa.
Yeah, indulge yourself. I need one of those days.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I've been doing every Saturday for the last month and a half. I've been doing something. But Forwards Festival on Saturday. It was good. It wasn't as good as Shambhala, but maybe I'm just, I don't think anything's going to be Shambhala.
No.
But yeah, it was fun. Saw Jamie XX, saw Little Sims, saw Fred Again, who's a DJ. I don't know if you know who Fred Again is.
No, I really wanted to see Little Sims at Glastonbury. I was gutted.
Yeah, this is the thing. I only saw half of her set because it just wasn't very organized. It was a big space that they had on the Downs in Bristol. And there was a lot of people there, and there was only 80 toilets. Maybe there was a bit more than 80, but the queue for the toilets, it was 45 minutes each time. You had to kind of, yeah. And then obviously when night came, you just had people pissing everywhere because it was just.
God. Yeah, I think I went to something like that. It was the Chemical Brothers in Devon somewhere with a friend, and we missed so much because every time we had to go for a wee and to the bar, it was an hour long sort of.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing with us. So it was that put a little bit of a dampener on it because I was so excited. I was so excited to see Little Sims, and I she was amazing, and I just caught the last half hour of her set, but. Yeah, I was a bit annoyed. You wouldn't get that at Shambhala because there's so many bloody toilets.
Yeah. This is it with festivals, isn't it? You do think, God, with everyone weeing everywhere and you just think, God, it's really sort of must trash the land. But it's up to the organisers to sort of take responsibility and plan.
That's the thing, isn't it? You can't blame people. I mean, at the end of the day, people aren't going to wet themselves, and they're not gonna pee themselves, like, sorry, I don't know why I said that. So
this has gone downhill really quickly.
We're not a festival podcast.
yeah I think everyone's fed up with hearing about Molly and mine and Molly's trips to festivals.
This is what happens when Holly and I just haven't got anything else to talk about. We just talk about our lives.
No, we always have lots to talk about, don't we?
Yes,
so let's move on. So what's going on in the world of veganism? What's in the news this week?
Activists everywhere.
Yeah So is this animal rebellion, isn't it?
Animal rebellion, yes. They are blocking, trying to shut down like dairy, not shut down, but trying to make them go plant-based. I think it's Muller and another, is it Arla, which is also a dairy industry? I think it's ARLA.
Yeah.
So yeah, like activists have been outside sort of factories and stuff. And I have just seen today they've superglued themselves to the lorries, the like Muller lorries and stuff.
Do you think I always wonder when I hear that, it's like, what super glue are they using? Is it actually stick? Because whenever I'm trying to like fix some shoes, it doesn't work.
What super glue are you using? I need to put my cells back together.
But yeah, I think they've been in like Waitrose and stuff as well, haven't they? Or
yeah, it's like sitting in front of like the dairy aisles and stuff. And I mean, activism obviously works. It definitely does. And I mean, the state of the world now, it's getting worse. I don't know. We've got to kind of stay a little bit neutral, I think, don't we?
It's really hard. I really do have split views because when I see, all the comments on social media from obviously non-vegans and in the mainstream media and stuff, and obviously, like vegan bashing and
like vegan mob has been like used to describe these people so much, and it's just like, is it working? Like, I don't know. It's hard.
On that side of things, you sort of think you're actually creating a them and us situation and driving more of a, and are people actually really seeing what the issue is, or are they just seeing a group of like, in inverted commas, nutters, you know, drilling holes in tires and causing damage? But on the other hand, I totally agree with you in the fact that things are like worse than I think they've ever been in certainly my lifetime, probably most people's lifetime, in terms of so many issues globally, and obviously with climate change, it's kind of like now or never, isn't it, to make these changes? So I don't want to sit on the fence, but I do have really mixed like feelings.
It's hard not to sit on the fence, and I feel like there's obviously so many different forms of activism. I mean, like this in itself, like our podcast is essentially like a form of activism because we're spreading awareness. It's not like hardcore activism, and I don't know if I support people doing it, but I don't think I would do it personally. No. And I think that's okay. Like, not everyone is going to be doing the same sort of thing, because then you're just minimizing the amount of people that can actually do that stuff. Whereas if you sort of accept different forms of activism and I couldn't go. I was going so well.
Get on your soapbox, Molly. I love it. No, it's I mean, when I think about, if I just sort of sit for a moment and think about the animals that are in the situations they're in within the dairy industry, one, I just instantly start crying. And two, then I think, hang on, like, would I, if someone literally said to me right now, if you come and do this will make a difference and you'll potentially save an animal's life, then I think I really would seriously consider it. And I'd, even if I got arrested or anything, I wouldn't want to do anything that caused criminal damage. Not because I'm worried about myself, but I just don't, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. But it's a
tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one. And I think especially because from this article that I'm looking at on a website called Joe, so it says vegan activists superglue themselves to the Muller lorries to make a point, and then the like strapline is the majority of the lorries were empty.
Right, so it's just sort of trying to mock the activists and make them look stupid.
And these people, their intentions are so in the right place, and I'm so here for it. But it's, as you were saying before, it kind of just drives. It gives people the opportunity to flip it on the other side and make it seem like they're doing bad things.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a lot of time with activism, it's about getting headlines, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I wonder what the impact of headlines, whether they're good or bad, is, if you know what I mean. So, does it matter whether it's negative or positive? Does it get us talking about dairy and what these big industries are doing?
Because there's not one mention of like raped cows in this article, you know what I mean? Like there's no conversation around that, and that's it's just like very news sites that are sort of like Daily Mail, whatever, they just love this stuff and they love to vegan bash, but then they're just completely ignoring the reason why they're there. It's not that they want to be a nuisance, it's what this, because they want to save the animals and the environment and our bloody planet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they've got better things to be doing than super gluing themselves to Muller lorries. Not just doing it for a laugh.
I know. And I think Extinction Rebellion did something similar. I think it might have been last week in the House of Commons. They super glued themselves to the Speaker's chair.
Yes, yeah. And I think again they said,
are they still there?
In Parliament. I don't know. Are you okay? We need to know.
What glue are you using?
Yeah. When my son comes home with broken shoes next week after spending 40 quid on them, I want to know how to super glue that together.
Oh, did he go back to school today?
He went back yesterday, walking very funny in his big clumpy new shoes and his sort of baggy uniform. So cute. Don't worry, I didn't do the post against the front door that everyone loves on Facebook.
My mum has a dedicated photo album for my little brother, and it's every year since he was in reception.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She doesn't go on Facebook at all throughout the year, and all she posts is just one photo.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's literally like a sea of, I mean, probably not for you, because I'm guessing you haven't got loads and loads of friends with kids,
people from home, people
right,
from Wales, and that's just on my Facebook. All my Instagrams are cool people. No, I'm joking.
Posing by like graffitied walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine is not cool. It's a wash with people with children standing awkwardly against their front door. It's like, yay! Like, what else am I supposed to say?
Has your son had any lessons on climate change and animal welfare and stuff in school recently? Because I know that they are trying to introduce it, but obviously it's going in slow pace, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my daughter, when she was at middle school, and I think maybe this was when she was a little bit older than my son, so maybe he will do soon. I mean, he's learned sort of bits and pieces, I think, touched on within geography and stuff, about global warming. But she was shown Cowspiracy.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I was shocked. So the whole class sat there and watched Cowspiracy, which I struggled to even watch at the age of 43.
What year was she in?
I think she was at middle school, so she was either in year 7 or 8. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I mean, I don't think it had the impact it does on, most of the other people I've ever spoken to that was watched Cowspiracy, because they still made fun of her for being vegan for a good few years. Oh. So obviously they didn't all suddenly go, what are we doing? I'm not going to eat meat anymore.
I suppose that's quite a young age. I feel like maybe you're 10 or 11. Not that, people younger than that can't process that information, but it's quite a hard-hitting documentary, isn't it? And I think after a while, if you're a bit younger, you're just well, I can't understand any of this stuff, so
this is boring. I'm just going to doodle in my notebook instead. Like you say, there's some of these documentaries are quite hard going, but no, I think it is getting better. And I think with the school meals as well, I think it's Pro-Veg do a campaign, don't they, and Viva, to get more vegan options on, or even vegan options on every school menu for every day of the week, which would be amazing. And I'm still shocked that schools kind of serve up, they have the school fetes and the school Christmas things, and they're all serving processed meat. They
sausages and just like smiley faces. Not that there's anything wrong with smiley faces. I love a smiley face, but like, it's so bizarre to me that even like I remember being in school and the dinners were just, I understand they've got to feed the masses, but also like you shout about healthy eating and then complain to parents that they're not feeding children well at home or whatever, and then you've got the bloody audacity to give me sausage and mash and bloody pesto gravy.
Pizza and it's true. Pizza and chips or something. I mean, I would love to get more involved with my son's school, and I think that's something that we can all do. Again, going back to activism, it's kind of a little bit in that vein, isn't it? And if I had more time, I'd love to sort of go in and, I don't know, not necessarily do a talk, but just have a chat with teachers and just see what, I could help with. Because often they just don't know about these things. They don't know how to do it. They don't know if there's a demand for it. But I definitely think, processed meat needs to be banned from schools, 100%. Would you give, a school child a fag, a cigarette? No. So why are we feeding them?
Exactly, on like a daily basis. And unfortunately, it's the children that are on sort of free school meals that are then, having to eat this food. And then it becomes this sort of like horrible cycle just because they're lower income. Just because they're lower income, it doesn't mean that they then have to just settle for processed foods. They deserve healthy meals like any child does.
Definitely.
And it's something that really pisses me off. And it's just not really talked about. Well,
it's been in the news, hasn't it, about people going vegetarian to save money. And obviously, like you say, if you're sort of school canteen, you've got to feed the masses. But if you're using things like chickpeas and beans, that's going to fill up the kids. That'd be a lot healthier. Slow burning carbs, that's what they all need to get them through the afternoon of maths and history or whatever. It's like, why are we not doing this? It's 2022. We're not stuck in the dark ages with no education or knowledge about food and nutrition. So, God, we've really got on our high horses today, haven't we?
We're going to put the world to right.
We are.
A bit of a scary world out there at the moment, and it's all you can do is really comment on it, isn't it? I suppose you can go and super yourself to a lorry, but I don't know if I want to do that.
No, I should do more with the school. I might email them and just say, wondering if you want me to get involved with any sort of eco projects or whatever.
Oh my God. Should we go in and do a Simply Vegan special?
Shall we? I'd love that. Let's go do a little talk with the kids. I did do one when he was in primary school, and that was so embarrassing because
oh no, did he hate it?
Well, no, he was actually quite excited to see me there, but I didn't really know, because I'm not a teacher. I didn't really know what to talk to them about, because I didn't want to be going that dairy milk you're drinking. Well, here's the truth. So I had to be really softly. So I went with the idea that vegetables were really exciting. And
they are so exciting.
I mean, we get excited about vegetables, don't we, Molly? Like, Orange, the happy pair, they get excited about vegetables. And I wanted to spread that excitement about, get an aubergine, you can turn it into this. Or, I mean, obviously I didn't start telling them about cauliflower steaks or anything, but I was just telling them about, how amazing vegetables are, because they're full of all these nutrients and they can help, your eyesight. And brain. But they looked a bit confused, and a few of them did say, I don't think vegetables are exciting. So
do you know what I think would be so good? I'm going to trademark this, but it's probably already been done. Is you just go in, you'll probably have to have a bit of a bigger budget, and you just got to cook with them. I genuinely think like that is the way to it, because this is so random, but Warburton's the bread company. Yeah, they came into my school once and we did like a sandwich making class, and that has literally stuck with me for years. Like,
wow,
it has stuck with me for ages, because we all got involved. We were all able to like look at the ingredients, choose our own ingredients, choose what we enjoyed, and like like the look of or whatever. And then we were learning at the same time, like about, you know, benefits of this and whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe, oh my God, we should maybe take this off air because someone's going to steal our idea.
I know. We've trademarked this. Holly and Molly go cooking at school.
We're going to save the children.
I hate to say this, but I think Pro Veg might do that. I might be wrong. I don't know. I'll have to email them.
Probably so many people do it.
Yeah. Well, there's Omari, isn't there? I think he's like 13, maybe even 14 now, but he had his own cookery show on CBBC, I think. I mean, I had him on the show, bless him. He didn't talk a lot. I mean, he was 12 at the time. So it was quite a funny interview because I was like, what should I ask him next?
What do you interview a 12-year-old about?
I know.
How do you do that?
Well, they kind of just answer the question, don't they? They don't think, I better elaborate. So he was kind of like, yes. It's like,
oh, bless him. That's so amazing, though. He is like insane.
I know. And I think that's so inspiring, isn't it, to see someone so young and think, God, you know, if he can cook, then I should be giving this a go.
Before we go, I've just got one thing to ask because it's actually driving me insane and I feel like such a bad vegan. And but like my trauma is getting just bashed every day. Spider season is here.
Oh no, I know we did have a massive one and I'd gone to bed. I didn't know about it. No. The poor thing, they trapped it under a Tupperware box in the I'm saying they, my husband and the kids, in the bath, and it was literally the size of like a small mammal.
Stop it.
Oh no, it was like scurrying trying to get out. So I let it out the window and then I had to try and move it so the window wouldn't squash it. It's very stressful. It's like the fly situation back in like summer.
This is worse than the flies for me though, because I can't be the only vegan with this actual phobia. Like me and my boyfriend, 2 came in the house in 24 hours. We almost left. Like we almost just like went to his mum's house because I just can't cope with it. And I don't know what to do. I know.
Well, yeah, definitely.
I've got this remedy, like natural remedy spray. I think it's like tea tree and sort of it's meant to be like a repellent. But my morals are battling my trauma.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what to do. So,
hon, you live in quite an old house as well, don't you? So I'm guessing there's lots of little holes for them to.
There are so many holes. We went for one bottle of spray repellent. Just in one go.
What?
I know. No,
what about is there anything you can burn, like candles or something with that, you know, like oil burners or something with that scent that they don't like to stop them?
Yeah, I got some tea tree oil. So maybe I will try that on a diffuser, but I'm just so scared, Holly.
Oh, bless you. Yeah, my sister is like beyond terrified of spiders. I mean, she doesn't open her windows. Ever.
No, I've not. That's not. I've closed my windows.
Oh, no, see, I live in harmony with spiders. So I go round and I'm like, oh my God, look at the cobwebs, and then I'll check to see if there's anything on, sort of still using the cobweb.
I can deal with the small ones.
I'll leave it.
I can deal with the small ones, but when they get bigger than like 2 centimeters, you're out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you please move out now? Sorry, I'm just gonna...
I will move out if that's what you want me to do. I will move out.
Well, that you might have to because there's so many more spiders than you, so you're going to lose this.
If anyone has any advice of how to get rid of these, not get rid of, but just
move them on quietly.
Move them on without me getting really scared, and without them getting really scared, and without my boyfriend getting really scared. I want no one to be scared in this situation, so just give us some advice, please.
Email simplyvegan@anthem.co.uk and help Molly out, please.
Please.
Well, this month is Organic September. We are speaking to Maddie Grinham from Mr Organic, so I'm really looking forward to what she has to say about the benefits of organic food to health. Obviously, we know a lot about the benefits in the environment, but it's always good to have, you know, different perspectives on things. So stick around and listen to that. Hey, Molly, how does 8 free vegan craft beers sound?
It sounds like music to my ears, but I also feel like you're pranking me.
I'm not, I promise. So this is what the world's most popular craft beer club, Beer 52, are offering.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Well, all you have to do is go to beer52, that's the number 52.com/vegan food and cover $5.95 for postage.
This sounds all too good, Holly. What's the catch? Come on, you're having me on.
There isn't one, I promise. Basically, they source the best vegan craft beers from around the world and then they send them to their club members along with vegan snacks, yum, and a magazine all about beer. There's no catch, there's no minimum commitment, and you can cancel or pause at any time.
Okay, I'm in. Sign me up, baby.
Shall we try some?
My can's already open.
Love it.
Which ones have you tried? I'm loving all of these colourful packagings.
Me too. They're so colourful. I've got a pineapple one. It's really refreshing. I just love fruity beers. How about you?
Mine's a citrusy IPA. It's like summer in a can, baby. So much nicer than these bland beers you often get in supermarkets. Cheers, my love.
Delicious. Cheers. Don't forget that's beer52.com/vegan food to claim your free case. Well, as I said, for Organic September, we're joined by Maddie Grinham from Mr Organic. We were due to be joined by Valeria, who founded the company, but I believe he's busy in Italy at the moment, isn't he, Maddie?
He is. So we're smack bang in the middle of tomato harvesting season. So yeah, he's he's busy with that at the moment. So you've got me instead, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, not at all. It's great to be chatting to you. I'm kind of picturing those tomato festivals where everyone's kind of throwing the tomatoes around and stamping on them, and but I'm guessing that's not quite what happens in the tomato harvest.
You know what? It is very much like that, actually. He has a live feed into the tomato harvesting factory. So you can literally see the conveyor belts with tomatoes going in. So yeah, it's quite an interesting watch if you've got a few minutes.
Tomatoes are just my favourite vegetable in the world. I just love everything tomatoey. Tomato juice, which seems to be a bit of a divisive one. You know, some people love it or hate it. Yeah, it's just such a versatile vegetable.
Yeah, you can do a lot with them, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, what a great job you have working with organic food. Do you get to try much of it?
We do. Do you know what? Everyone always asks me this question, and this is absolutely one of my favourite things at the job. We have a whole back room that's literally full of food, and whenever we bring out new products, whenever we do any kind of taste testings, it's something we do as a whole company. So yeah, we're definitely not short on food over here.
And it's also fresh and healthy. We're very lucky that we test out lots of food here on the podcast, which is all delicious, but some of it's not quite so good for the waistline. Or
yeah.
A lot of us know there are benefits to organic food when it comes to farming, but what exactly are the differences between organic and non-organic farming?
Yeah, so I think the really interesting thing is we know that there's so many resources and so much awareness out there about the environmental benefits of vegan food or plant-based food. And I think the benefits of organic are absolutely there, but I think maybe there's not quite so much awareness. I think fundamentally the main difference is that it's a natural ecosystem management. So the way the crops are grown, the way that the fields are harvested is all very natural. So it doesn't use anywhere near as many pesticides. It doesn't kind of use anything that's going to be particularly bad for the soil or the eventual crops. And it really does encourage biodiversity. So I think the stats something like there's 50% more animal life, there's 50% more bird life, there's 50% more insect life. So really, as a whole ecosystem, organic farming takes care of every single stage, which is obviously great for the soil, and it's really great for the end product. It's great for the taste of the product.
Yeah, you hear reports about how many harvests we have left and the degradation of our soil, and it's pretty terrifying, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. And I think soil is one of the biggest stores of carbon globally. So if you think the reduction in the quality of our soil means that all that carbon is then getting released into the atmosphere. So I think we don't often realize how precious our soil is to us, how fundamental it is to the whole ecosystem.
When it comes to our health, it makes sense that organic food would be better for us, as obviously pesticides are not being used and therefore we're not consuming them. But there haven't been huge numbers of studies, have there, in relation to the health benefits, which is quite surprising, really.
There hasn't, no.
I know that Riverford cite a study on their website that found that organic fruit and veg contain over 60% more antioxidants.
Yeah, so you're right. It is an area that there isn't a huge amount of research on. I think there's definitely research into why conventional farming isn't great for us. So we know that products produced with pesticides, we know that that pesticide is then going into the end product, into the food we eat. We know things like the levels of hormones found in standard agriculture is much, much higher. Even things like antibiotics, and then the impact that then has on the kind of population health. So I think whilst there isn't a huge amount of data on how organic is beneficial, there's so much data on how non-organic isn't beneficial to us. I think the stat you said about there being 68% more antioxidants in organic food is because when you use pesticides, you're kind of stripping the plants of their ability to create those antioxidants themselves. Whereas with organic farming, they kind of create these natural barriers. They create these natural methods of getting rid of pesticides, essentially, which we then do see the benefits coming in our own food. And I think generally speaking, organic is just fresher. It's just a much more natural way to produce food.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cost of organic food. Obviously, we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis at the moment. Doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. And a lot of us, well, I think most of us are having to reassess our choices when it comes to food shopping. And obviously, organic does seem, an obvious one to be cutting back on. What are your thoughts on this?
So I think it is true that generally speaking, organic is a bit of a premium. I think there's no getting away from that. Interestingly, what we are seeing is as everything gets more expensive, as supply chain gets more expensive, as farming, even the cost of farms to keep the energy on to then produce the crops, everything is getting more and more expensive. So what we are seeing is that the price of conventional is actually increasing much, much faster than the price of organic. So conversely, we are finding that organic is actually becoming more affordable. What I would say is I think there's always going to be, we know so many people who are really struggling with the cost of living crisis. And I think it's not fair to say, everyone can afford organic, because I think fundamentally it is just not achievable for some people. But I would say there is a huge section of people who maybe haven't been impacted quite as much. And I think for that, I would say the great thing about organic is you don't have to be 100% organic. It's not like plant-based where it's all or nothing. I think you can just make those small organic switches. You can try and incorporate a little bit more into your diet without really noticing the financial impact of it.
There is a stream of thought that those of us who are privileged enough to be able to afford organic food, and we might be struggling too, but we could certainly cut back in other areas perhaps. There's kind of this idea that perhaps we have a duty to keep supporting organic farmers and kind of doing our bit to support small businesses and those who are doing the right thing for the environment.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have a duty so much, but I do think we have a duty to just be conscious of where our food's coming from and really educate ourselves about the impact of those choices. I think we all know that I think most people have a desire to shop more sustainably, to shop in a more health conscious way. I think especially after the pandemic, everyone is that bit more conscious about exactly what they're eating. And I think those that do have the means to do it, I do think have that duty to really just understand the impacts of organic and why it might be a better choice for them. And I think there's almost this perception of organic as this quite like bougie, sort of unnecessary thing, which I think is the complete opposite. I think, organic agriculture is one of the oldest farming systems in existence. I think even in the UK, up until about 50, 60 years ago, all the food we were eating was organic. And I think it's just about really helping people understand that organic is an investment, but it's an investment in themselves. It's an investment in the environment. So yes, at the till, it might be slightly more expensive, but you will see the benefits. We as a society will see the benefits in many other ways.
Yeah, it's so scary that just that short time ago, organic was just the norm. And I'm guessing organic wasn't really even a term that was used because pesticides weren't part of the equation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we kind of, yeah, definitely. And I think we kind of forget that there are so many lessons to be learned from the ways people used to shop and the ways people used to eat. I think even, our grandparents' generations will have so many tips on things like reducing food waste or cooking with the seasons. And it's all things that still are completely applicable to this day and age. Even the way that we rotate our crops on our farm in Italy, that's literally one of the oldest agricultural systems in the world. The Mayans did it thousands and thousands of years ago. And so it's almost like we've forgotten some of the practices and some of the things we used to have. And it's when we start introducing these things like pesticides, these things like mass over farming, where the food system just doesn't quite make as much sense as it used to, unfortunately.
You do wonder how on earth we got to this state, really, don't you?
I know. Yeah, it's a scary thought, really, isn't it?
What main food staples would you recommend then for those who want to buy some organic food but can't afford to do full shops each week of organic produce?
So I think the ones where you will taste the most difference will be fruit and veg. I think they're typically the ones that tend to be given the most pesticides and the most synthetic substances are put on them. The one product actually is carrots. So if you ever did a taste test of a normal carrot versus an organic carrot, you can really, really taste the difference between the two. So I would say anything you tend to cook with a lot, any sort of kitchen staples, things like tin tomatoes, for example, as such a, we all have a tin of tomatoes in our cupboard probably all of the time. And I think it's such a good introduction into organic food. It's a good way to kind of take that initial step and actually be able to taste the benefits in quite an insubstantial way.
People talk about the dirty dozen, don't they? And buying organic if you're going to eat the skin, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say if you think logically about why they're putting these chemicals, these pesticides into the food, and it tends to be to increase their shelf life, it tends to be to preserve them so that distance between field to shelf can be really extended. So anything that typically would have a very short shelf life that's been extended, I think that's where you will notice the most difference. And I think, it's very logical that things like a tomato or a potato, if they are organic, then it just means they're that much fresher. It means that they've had that much shorter journey from farm to the store where you buy them from. So yeah, those would be my recommendations. I'd try an organic carrot and see if you can tell the difference.
Yeah, you definitely can. I'm a big advocate for organic produce now, especially after speaking to so many kind of doctors and nutritionists on the podcast and hearing about all the benefits. But like you say, no one should feel pressured to try and afford organic food if they can't. But even if you can't, even if it's just like a bunch of carrots each week, then that's a great start, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
So what's in season at the moment then? We're in organic September. What's good to look out for?
We are. So tomatoes, obviously, Mr Organic is the big one. So tomato season typically ends late August and then harvesting is done September, October time. As we're kind of getting into autumn, anything like root vegetables, potatoes, Swedes, any kind of big meaty root vegetables are all in season at the moment. And I think those are great options, especially as we start thinking about cost of living. Something like a butternut squash is such a great thing to cook with because it's very versatile. It's very large as well. You get a lot for your money. And yeah, I think just being mindful of what we would typically cook with the seasons, what produce is the best time to buy right now, and how you could then incorporate that into different recipes.
Seasonality is so important, isn't it? Yeah, but more so than buying locally, because like you say, Valeria is out in Spain and you're obviously importing those tomatoes, which has a footprint or an impact, but actually the impact is lower because they're being grown using, the natural sunshine rather than kind of being grown here in the UK, but under a million lights.
Yeah, they're exactly that. I think obviously we're not quite so blessed in the UK, but in Italy, during the Italian summer, that's exactly how they grow the tomatoes. The sun fertilizes, it grows. They also have a lot of, we actually have some mechanical drones that we use in the field, so they can tell exactly which areas of the fields need watering and at what times, just so it's just water management basically to make sure we're reserving as much as possible. But yeah, no, it's really fascinating. I think sort of growing in that more natural, more traditional way, you really do see the benefits.
Yeah, I'm not sure how natural drones are, but
yeah, maybe the drones are not quite so much, but
they're definitely a good use of modern technology, aren't they?
Yeah.
Before we finish, what's your favourite dish to make where veg is really the star of the show?
Oh, that's a very good question. I have to confess, I'm not the best cook in the world, which doesn't quite bode well working for a food company. My go-to would probably be some kind of tray bake. So I love chickpeas. So anything kind of roasted chickpeas with lots and lots of veg on it. Maybe some salad or some rice to go with it. I think just any kind of really hearty, sort of cozy type dish. I think the great thing about vegetables is you can literally do whatever you want with them. They have that versatility. So yeah, I'm a big fan of roasting. I've just bought a new roasting tray, so hopefully going to be doing some more soon.
Yeah, it might inspire you to get more creative.
Yeah, it might.
Well, everyone's starting to think about how much energy they're using to cook, aren't they? And things like tray bakes and one pots are a brilliant way to save on gas and electric, because it's just all in, you just put it all in the oven or on one hob rather than having loads of different kind of rings on your cooker or whatever. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see how things change during the next few years in terms of our kind of habits.
Yeah, definitely. And we're seeing even things like 10-minute meals or one pot recipes are all getting so much more popular recently, just because they are that much shorter. They require that much less cooking time, that much less energy used to make them, which, yeah, it's really interesting. It's interesting how our kind of popular recipes and the trends are kind of being influenced by things like cost of living rises.
Well, listeners, head over to Mr Organic, their website, to find out more. There's loads of recipes over there, isn't there?
We do. I think we've got about 2,000 recipes, so there's a lot of choice there.
Amazing. And it's a fully plant-based, sustainable B-Corp company, isn't it?
It is. We made the decision about 9 years ago to go 100% plant-based. And yeah, haven't looked back really. And yeah, we actually got our B-Corp certification last month, so we're still very excited about it.
Congratulations. Yeah, I know our listeners really care about the provenance of their food and want to support companies who are going that extra mile. Well, thank you so much, Maddie. It's been so nice to chat to you, and good luck with the tray bake.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe and email us with your questions for Chantal Tomlinson, who is the new dietitian at the Vegan Society. She's joining us next Thursday. Simplyvegan@anthem.co.uk.